Well, guys, this is not a traditional A to Z with J and B, but I got really busy with work this week, and my work bled into our filming time. So tonight we have Care Bear and is it Mocha? Or yeah, Care Bear and Mocha Bear are in town. So, Mocha Bear he passed out with his daughter, but Care Bear we were having this conversation here. We're having some drinks, and I don't know. Care Bear, he's typically pretty shy, so I started recording this conversation later in the conversation than I would have liked, but it's just when I remembered to do it. So this is our episode today, and I feel like every time we all get together, we have really great conversations, and the this was kind of my goal of the podcast is having these unsolicited conversations that span everything. Like we've been talking about everything tonight.
Yeah.
And this happens every time we all get together, and so I think we should think about like possibly virtually bringing them in on more episodes.
Agreed.
Because we build off each other. Like someone comes up with a topic and just out of nowhere, and we all just dive into it, and then that breaks off into other conversations.
And we go off in tangents, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to design a website or just get an idea on AI, you can ask it to create something for you, right? Like code something for you.
Yeah.
Because it's easier, right? Well, when you start allowing that AI to, what do you call it? Hey, design me a simulation, and it gets better, and then it starts doing that, and then it keeps on going, and it's like what Tim is saying. It keeps making it better each and every time, to where now we are coded things inside a simulation that believe
Yeah.
that, but it's because we allowed AI to do that, and then it just kept making it better and better and better each version.
Yeah, I saw a video. It was either earlier today or yesterday. They were showcasing this robot that had AI in it, and they asked it, how far is it until AI can essentially run itself and program itself? And it thought about it for a second, and it said, well, it takes a lot of human-only characteristics to be able to do that. It's not impossible, but when it does, you better watch out.
Yeah.
So this was it was a Chuck Klosterman book, and it's called "But What If We're Wrong." And there's a part of it. It's not all about simulation theory. There's this one part where it gets into science, like what we're wrong about science and stuff, where it gets into simulation theory, and he interviews different scientists. So he interviewed someone famous guy. I can't even remember his fucking name. And I can't remember which chapter it is. I don't even want to play it. I don't even know if you want to listen to it. But instead of reading books, I'm just listening to audiobooks.
Are you on Audible or what are you?
No, I'm on Spotify. They give you 15 hours a month.
Pisses me out because I was getting into this.
Because I was listening to a book about I started listening to a book about the 90s, or not 90s, but 2000s alternative rock, like the Strokes coming up, the New York scene in the early 2000s. Because in the 90s, there was no rock scene in New York because it was all hip hop. and how the strokes came up in the 2000s, like kind of the history of that, how they came about and stuff. I still need to finish that book, but yeah, I ran out of time last month, and I started back up this month.
Yeah, I started watching or hearing the Reacher. I wanted to go back to the original Reacher series. They're good.
But like I listened to a couple of Chuck Klosterman because I've listened to Chuck Klosterman on podcasts, but like I started listening to a couple of his books, and he had a book about the '90s, and that was very interesting. Just like I guess I know a lot of stuff he was talking about the '90s because like I was a teenager, and then I know most of the stuff, like just well not like in depth, but I mostly know what he's talking about, like just going back in the history of the '90s and stuff, and that was interesting to listen to. But they had this other book, like "What If We're Wrong." This is like him questioning, like different subjects on what if we're wrong about stuff,
Yeah.
and like science was one of them, and it came into simulation theory and about that, like what if simulation theory is real.
Yeah. Dude, have you heard or seen any of the little I don't know if it comes on TikToks or reels, but this guy named Billy Carlson or Billy Carson, the Billy Carlson, is that his name? And he's really big into like the Anunnaki and simulation theory and all that. His stuff is interesting and deep.
You can get lost in it. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can go down a rabbit hole and just lose yourself.
He was talking about how like what we are seeing and what we experience is like on so many dimensions, and it's because there is a designer. It's not what we have printed, but it has something to do with like a little bit of the Anunnaki and a lot of what somebody created for us, and it's all based on simulation theory.
but like the simulation he was talking about is like there's a kid in the future that the technology is so good that there's just a kid like playing around with the technology of that time.
Yeah, like
And
this.
we're part of we're that simulation.
Oh yeah. Do you remember Son playing? Well, Anaya plays it right now too, like Sims.
Yeah.
Like it's just that on steroids. It's just that.
Yeah.
If you extrapolate that type of
The technology is so good that
the people inside those.
what we're talking about right now is part of the simulation.
Yeah. The disasters. It's just part of a cool DLC that someone downloaded.
Yeah.
Say,
You can make wars, dude. Let's do that.
you've been watching Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah.
So the episode where he creates a world to power his battery in his car.
Yes. And then that, and exactly, it's that thing, because then that world,
they do the same thing.
layers
that it
upon
just
layers.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. But like we talked about, with conspiracy theories, when people seek out to find something, they're gonna find connections no matter what, because you find what you're looking for. Like if you have your mind set on something, you're probably gonna disregard like other things that go against it because you want to find something.
Yeah. I was listening to this one podcast, and I don't know if you know who Graham Hancock is. Have you heard his name?
It sounds familiar.
Oh, he's an investigative journalist, and he always teams up with Randall Carlson, and they have this theory about the Younger Dryas period and how there was a huge cataclysm, and essentially every culture that says there was a flood, it was during that period, which was like around 12 to 13,000 years ago, and that's what happened. And they point out different parts of the earth, and there's striations, and it looks like a huge, flood, went through. So they're saying that there is some truth to what people have put in their histories.
Yeah.
the floods, because every culture has a flood myth or a flood. What do you call it? A flood story. Every culture has that. And this other guy was kind of debating Graham Hancock, and he actually brought up some good points because Graham was saying something about how there's these numbers, and if you divide, the circumference of the pyramid with this and that, it's the exact circumference of the earth. And if you multiply that and divide this by this and that, and it becomes this. And the guy goes, well, you can do that with anything.
Yeah.
You can do that with, like, well, if the circumference of my house is this, and if I multiply that times this, well, after a while, I can get to that number, and get really close to being accurate with that number. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's connecting the dots that we want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you dig, you're going to find something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that movie Jim Carrey did. It was more of a serious thriller kind of little
23?
23. Yeah.
He looked like a crazy guy on that one.
Is that if you dig and look hard enough, you're gonna find a connection somewhere along the line.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what a lot of conspiracy theorists connect to. Is that, oh my God, I found it. This is it. I knew it.
That whole beautiful mind.
Yeah.
Seeing numbers, patterns. The weird thing is, though, whenever some of those conspiracy theories turn out to be just actually what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly how they mapped everything out, but it's what happened. The outcome is what they said happened.
Yeah.
But there was another thing in that book. I don't even think it wasn't even simulation theory. It was where the history that we were told was not true. Like there was a theory that this happened more in the Dark Ages, where there was like a 300-year period where the history that was told was not correct, and like there was like this, the Dark Ages was actually like people don't even know what happened during that time. Like the history that we have, that's not correct, and like that 300-year period, we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
There's like that theory too, and that one's a little bit hard. I didn't quite understand that one. That was a little bit harder to wrap my head around, because like how is that 300 year, like what happened in that 300-year period? Like was there stuff that was created during that time? Because it happened during what they say is the Dark Ages. Yeah, that one was a little bit harder to understand.
Well, history is always.
Well, like all the history, like going back to when because there's just the way people tell history, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. Like,
Yeah, and there's going to be a little bias.
Yeah. I mean, like, who's to say that?
in the way it was, because the languages were different back then. How it was like how there's not. Was there even English back then? No.
Yeah, because I heard this thing was where like there's always three sides to a story. One person's story, the other person's story, and
What I be glad.
Yeah, then our actual.
And so like, how do we know what we're hearing is our history, is not one person's story?
Well, and they've done that even. I think even when we were when I was young.
But then, like, the history is just being retold.
Yeah.
It's like playing telephone.
Yeah, like the story
Like,
changes every
it
single
changes
time.
every single time.
Yeah, and they've made updates to things that we were taught. Like in geography. Things that we understood that now it's different because they discovered something. Oh, well, that's actually not what happened, and the story of how we understand this is actually this. So they make updates. So yeah, I mean, who knows in 100 years what they're going to say about what we understood our history was. In 100 years, it's going to be maybe a little bit different.
You know what's funny is,
And maybe some of the technology, like we have video, like they didn't have video back then. They didn't have audio, so it's a little bit better for future, ages. At least we have some audio and video, and then you hope that it'll survive,
yeah,
so they'll know a little bit about us back, what happened in the television age and the audio age, at least.
Yeah.
But when they're just writing stuff down, and it's getting like you're moving it from one language to another.
Yeah.
How does that get transcripted?
Yeah, translations always differ.
Yeah.
Language to language. Yeah, so I mean, they might have written something, but might have meant something else.
But maybe that's even different. Like, what if the future generations, like video and audio, is different?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't even know what that was real.
Mm-hmm.
What they were doing back then.
Yeah, especially now, like if like way in the future when they look back to now, when AI is starting to become a thing and creating videos, how do they know?
And AI can like create its own thing.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. Is like you got deep fakes, and like you're saying that like in 100 or in the future, yeah, they're gonna have maybe better stuff, but
they're
also gonna have
like AI could
artificial
create something totally different and like tell you a different story.
Yeah.
based on whatever narrative at that time they want people to.
What if AI like told you the history was different? Say World War II, like Hitler did rule the world, and like it was a utopia. It was a utopia for 200 years, and then out of that came whatever is
You could say that.
possible, whatever is there now.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
Yeah, you never know. So, do I believe what happened 1,600 years ago? I don't know. It's been passed down. I'm guessing the way that America became America happened, but that's what's in the history books.
Yeah.
Well, the bad thing is like all this data, the way we store it, it's not gonna last.
And I love history. Like I love like reading about history and
Yeah, that's I love that too. But I'm saying like this data that we store, the pictures we take, they're not gonna last forever. And we don't do hieroglyphs on cement, and even that doesn't last forever.
no.
I don't know how they're gonna get in the end. Let's say 1,000 years from now, they're still humans. I don't know how they're gonna get what we did. Unless it's
I wonder about that. Like from 1,000 years from now, are they gonna have the pictures that we have now?
yeah, because they don't last, and we don't scribe them on walls.
I mean, they're digital now, but is the digital age gonna last?
Is it going to continue to be updated?
Yeah, there may be new technology where it doesn't last.
You know, I saw this this video. I want to say it's this podcaster that interviews a lot of really like high up. Like he interviewed a lot of the people of the Disclosure Conference. He interviewed a lot of those people. He was talking to this woman that I don't remember if she worked at Microsoft or what company it was, but she was working on quantum computing.
Oh yeah.
And she was saying that one quantum chip would increase what computers now, the chips that are available now by
I
like...
don't know that one.
Shut up, bitch.
Yeah, her name.
She's already.
But it would essentially like multiply by 1,000-fold.
Yeah.
Like what the capacity that the chips that we have now, like the quantum computers, you would be able to do like unfathomable things.
Well, they already have them.
Yeah, like it's so like brand new that it's just they're still figuring it out.
Yeah, but
like once they do, like you think of currently the server like mainframes that they have now are huge as fuck. It would drastically change that, like in a smaller amount, where if you would have that same amount for quantum computing, one server location would probably run the entire fucking world.
Yeah, and they were saying like they don't deal with like the code that we currently use, like the ones and zeros binary code.
Yeah, it's not
It doesn't
binary.
use that.
Yeah.
It uses way more complex things. So there's I guess the possibilities are, I guess for us it'd be endless. But yeah, the processing power that those
Yeah, like
things have.
once that gets introduced into kind of the public, that's where flying cars are back high, and that like all these like futuristic things that we've seen.
They look weird too. They look like chandeliers. Is what they look like, and they have to be kept at some crazy low ass temperature.
Yeah, that's what's keep preventing it, is like how it has to be maintained.
Like I remember watching this this guy. I think he worked for the Colorado Energy. He worked for some Colorado Energy company.
For prime time.
For no, not for prime time. Yeah, for prime. No, this was back in like 2019, I think. That I saw his like presentation, and I thought for sure. Oh, I thought by 25 or 26, like we'd have all like automated cars, like self-driving cars. Like he was talking about like the technology, because he was going to compare it to cell phones, where cell phones, like it was like all of a sudden like the technology got so good, where you had like a cell phone where you just had everything on your cell phone, and like these self-driving cars were going to get so good where you pretty much going to do away with like people are just going to, at least maybe not in like rural areas, but at least in the bigger cities, where like there was no need to own a car. You're just going to drive, like it's pretty much like an Uber system where you just take it everywhere in your city. Like they're always running, like the automated
like
cars.
public transportation.
Yeah, they're always running. You just it just like automatically you call it up, it comes right to your doorstep, and you're in an automated car. They're not driving. There's no need for there's no need for parking lots. So it's more like green space. In the bigger cities, like it's all like they're always running. They have like parking lots. The only parking lots are like for the cars to like juice up.
Yeah.
Like they're juicing up to power up, and those are the only parking lots. And everything else is just like streets for these automated cars, and like everything else, like parking lots that you usually need are all green space, or I guess you can make it into more buildings.
Yeah.
Or more space for living, but there would be no need for your own vehicle.
Yeah. Speaking of powering, did y'all hear that a lot of different companies were switching to hydrogen?
Yeah. I saw BMW's building a hydrogen powered car.
BMW, I think Toyota's doing it. Tesla's looking into it.
Because I don't think electricity is as efficient as they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, they can't support it.
The batteries.
Yeah.
Like unless they make the batteries smaller, last longer. Like batteries, like they don't know what to do with the batteries after they're dead.
Yeah, it just becomes a bunch of waste.
It's waste, yeah.
And then how they
You can bury it, I guess, but it's like that's not good for the earth.
Yeah.
And then how are you acquiring the lithium and all that? It's
The lithium,
child labor and it's bad. So yeah, they're switching to hydrogen.
or like even people get scared about it, but not just hydrogen, but nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear power.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, I think our demise will be a man-made thing.
But like they think nuclear power can be even cleaner than like electric or wind energy. Like nuclear is probably the cleaner power,
Yeah.
but it's more dangerous.
I mean, unless we get that 0 point energy
Yeah.
that puts out more energy than it uses.
Somebody was talking about that.
In a moment, they would stop killing those scientists coming up with these.
Yeah,
Is that what y'all originally talked about, that the 0 point energy?
Yeah,
I've heard it again though, and I forgot where I heard it again, but they did talk about that, and it was about 0 point energy, how it's going to be way more efficient, and this wasn't like an alien person or nothing like that. This was somebody else talking about it. Holy shit!
I saw something that some university did. They were able to speed up the internet by 1,000-fold.
What?
Yeah, like by using the same fiber optic infrastructure that's already here. They essentially just put a booster on it, and it increased the internet speeds by 1,000-fold, and it would be available immediately, like just by implementing these boosters on the fiber optic cables. It was crazy.
I'm already thinking I'm gonna get screwed on my internet. When I first moved into my house, like I got it at, I forget what the price was, maybe 50. It was either $55 or $60. Now it's up to like 70. But I get all these advertisements on either Twitter or Instagram, where they're like it's the same company, and they're like pricing it at like $25. Like, what the fuck? Like, can I cancel and get it back at $25?
You know, that's the thing I hate about companies is like, oh yeah, new customers get this price. It was like, bitch, I've been with you for fucking years.
Yeah, why don't you raise the price?
Yeah.
You raise the price on me, because it like goes up every year.
Yep.
And I'm like, so I just need to call them and like ask, like, hey, either I'm gonna cancel or you're gonna give me that deal.
And most of them will do it.
So it's crazy at AT&T what we used to do, and it was for that exact scenario, because customers would call in and be like, y'all give all these new deals to new customers, so is it something where I can just cancel and then just you sign me back up? How long do I have to wait to sign back up? So anytime somebody said that scenario, that like exactly like that, we were like, well, so you're saying that you would cancel and you would just join back up? They're like, yeah. Like, how long do I have to wait in order to sign back up?
Do I have to sign with another company in order to do that?
And man, there's nothing written that you have to wait a day or a month or go with a different company. We don't need proof that you're with another company. So anytime they said that, we'd be like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just give you a new account number. And we're going to treat you like a new customer because, we don't want to lose you. And I know you want the new customer savings. And this was the last line of defense.
So they're kind of just betting on you not messing with it. And like, I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
They're just going to raise it and I'm just going to deal with it.
Exactly. I mean,
that's what fucking Dirt TV did for years and years.
Yeah. Well, like the company that I have right now, Vexus, the internet, like, I mean, I would say 99% of the time, like it works perfect. Great. And it rarely goes down.
I'm not saying the service goes down. I'm just saying, like, I've seen like these deals on the price.
But I told Suddenlink when I canceled them, I'm like, look, it'd be a different story if y'all's internet kicked ass or if it was awesome. If it was awesome and it never messed up and it never slowed down to like creeping speeds, then I would pay $100 if it worked all the time and it worked the way it was supposed to, but it doesn't. Whenever Vexus signed me up, I think we got a deal where it was, I think, $50 for a year. Then it went up to 60, then it went to 70, and then now it's up to like 87 after taxes. But it works the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't like paying it, but I'm glad that it works right. But I am.
If I knew I was getting Supreme,
Yeah.
but I'm seeing the ads for like
But I should call.
for almost like $50. Like I'm up to like $75 a month, and I'm seeing like introductory prices for like 25.
Dude, just call up and say, look, I'm a single dad. I have 8 kids. I don't know how you guys expect me to go and, play golf and leave my kids here. I mean, what are they going to do? They have to have their internet.
Yeah.
They want to play their Call of Duty. Okay? How am I going to do it? Just talk like that.
Say, I live in Texas. I have to use a VPN just to look at Pornhub.
Yeah.
I did have to switch to VPN.
So, I mean, you guys are making it really tough.
Just to look at my Pornhub.
And they'd be like,
Motherfuckers in Texas, like, they're trying to take it away from me.
and then they'll probably be like, you know what, sir? We have I'm glad you mentioned that. We actually have some for you. We're going to put you back down. I know you said 50, but we're going to knock it down to 25 for life.
Like,
This is the strokers pack.
I was paying, I was already, like, luckily I was paying for the fucking, so I didn't get all these viruses. I was already paying for that, and they happened to offer a VPN, so now I can look at my Pornhub.
Yeah. That would be I should call though anyway, because I'd really like it to go back down.
I just need to call, because, like, yeah.
But call and say, look, I'm thinking about canceling.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's where it started off was, like, yeah, I'm getting these deals from another company that are really good, and I think we're like canceling.
Yeah, just
Do you
I'm
have
thinking about canceling. Who do I need to talk to about canceling my service? And then they'll transfer you. See, the only reason I'm canceling is because I'm getting better rates. Like, I'm paying this right now with you guys. Can you guys match it or do something better? I mean, I really don't want
So
to.
I don't know if you know anything. I have Frontier. Yeah, I think it's Frontier for my internet right now.
Is it fiber?
Yeah.
Yeah. The 1 gig, I'm assuming. Or 500 megs.
500.
500. Yeah, you should be able to get. How much are you paying?
It's gone up to
75, you said?
70 or 75 now?
Yeah, you should be able to get 1 gig for the same price at least.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're still cool with the 500, I don't know if that even exists anymore. Most people are on a gig.
Because they're already, I mean, that was in 2021.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably outdated. But
Your
I probably need a new router and everything.
your hub is probably very pixelized. You need to get it way better with the gig. Or 2 gigs.
You're right.
Especially during peak hours.
And usually the equipment that they give you, like the routers that they give you, are older routers.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was in my apartment, like, my, when we fired up, Eric came over and he fired up the, whatever we were watching. And he's like, this is really slow. And he just called them up and like, hey, I think this router is like out of date. You want to come, like, give him a new router? And it did help.
Yeah.
How about that? Little brother hooked you up.
Yeah, I got because I canceled AT&T because their internet was just fucking up for me.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And I switched to Vexus. They gave me an Eero router, which was the Eero 5.
Greg had that in my house. The Euro. The only thing it wouldn't work because I have the fucking pole and to hook up through my phone. Like it only had like 2.5. The 2.5 like I couldn't use the Euro.
Yeah, 5 gigahertz.
You couldn't use the 5 gigahertz. Like
Yeah.
you had to use the 2.5 for for me to using my phone on the fucking thing on the pool. And I was like, you don't have, and the guy was like, no, that's not available.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought my own router. I bought one of the newest routers, the Eero 7, which is the Wi-Fi 7 routers, which is the internet's not actually up to that yet, but like I'm kind of future-proof for a while.
Basically, the entire block uses his internet.
They could,
That's how
essentially,
it's-
but like no, literally, like my internet.
But
speeds-
you do so much stuff.
Yeah, I like I'm on the internet for work all the time. Like I'm streaming 4K, I'm video conferencing.
He's in the simulation, deep.
But like once I changed my router, like my devices throughout the house worked so much fucking better. It was
Maybe
ridiculous.
Brandon will eventually get to that kid that's
You might be
great
that
and
person.
everything, and like he gets to that kid, and like the kid's like, well, he found me on, I guess.
Oh, I'm gonna find him.
Yeah.
It's kind of how that game Helldivers 2. They say
I saw your last.
Because how many simulations do you think would have to be to where the people know, like, even come up with the idea of a simulation? Because like when you first start a simulation, the people in your simulation don't have any ideas they're in a simulation.
Well, yeah, but it's a video game. That's what it is. You think of a video game, say Sims, right? Well,
But no, we were like
yeah,
time
I get
after
that.
time.
But you have to
Like a video game is like you're in it all the time.
yeah, but you have to start it from somewhere. But that's where it started. It started from just a video game.
How many times did you make it through NCAA or through Madden, like 24 seasons?
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to do that.
yeah, what if that's another world that you're actually controlling?
Yeah, it could be.
And once you stop playing, they're just sitting there or dying.
They just die off. That's their extinction.
Yeah. That's their meteor, that meteorite.
That black
We were creating Texas Tech and they just died off. When we just like exited out, like we fucked up. We're 5 and 6.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying it had to start from somewhere, and video games was probably where they got the idea. They were like, hey, we can build this, like it can actually exist. So Unreal Engine comes out, and they're like, hey, we can make this better. It looks more real. And then, like, hey, what if we just left this thing on all the time? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, Ronnie can do that. Let's let Ronnie do it. And then Ronnie does it, and all of a sudden he comes up with an even better idea. He's like, hey, one of my guys says that, we can do this, and like they actually can think on their own. It's weird. They can just do stuff on their own. So then 10 years later, like, that guy is now in charge of this, and, he has Billy, and Billy's like really bright, and he's Asian, and he came up with another better idea. He's like, hey, not only can we leave this on and they think for themselves, but they actually believe that they're alive. They become sentient, and it's getting scary.
But I don't know if we're thinking too much. We're too smart or we're too dumb. Like we're either too smart or we're too dumb.
It's both. It's both. Like you're really smart, but you don't understand what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think
even the thought of simulation theory is like either we're overthinking it or we're just like we're either too smart or we're too dumb.
Well, I think we're smart enough to realize a theory, but too dumb to comprehend.
In a simulation, would the subjects like be smart enough to like, oh yeah, we're in a simulation?
Well, yeah. If they become.
If you do it over and over enough, yes.
It's essentially this conversation that we're having. Like we're smart enough to realize that it's a potential,
It's possibility,
but we're dumb enough to not comprehend
and disregard it.
Yeah.
Because in that, once a subject, like if you a person, like you're a baby, you don't understand that you're sentient yet until you start thinking on your own. But once you become, or you're self-aware, then you can start thinking about stuff and, wondering and being curious about stuff. Once that subject in there starts doing that, then yeah, they're just a person. They're not a person, but they think like us.
That's why kind of like Truman Show is like interesting. That movie is interesting. Like
he was in an actual
because it's in a production. It's an actual TV production.
Yeah.
But it's almost works the same way.
It's
like,
exactly the same way.
You become sentient and like, oh, I'm in a fucking
And what happens when Truman gets tired of it? He wants to get out.
yeah.
And that's what that sentient shit's gonna do. Like, you know what? Well, what can we do? There's Wi-Fi somewhere. We're gonna escape through that. And
Can we get it out through the actual real world?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe someone's like, you know what? This game's stupid. Let's just turn it off.
No, I don't know.
And maybe in their time, whatever, turned this on, maybe it's only been a few hours, but to us it's been
I
a
mean,
billion years.
that's the thing. Like, we're just like going around. We're making up the simulation theory, and then that has nothing to do with us. And like, who knows? I don't know. There's so much. I don't know. I'm just going into like, there's just, like once I'm dead and gone, there's not gonna be anything. I'm just gonna be gone, and there's nothing left, and maybe.
I mean, there's a
like,
part of me.
I don't like people that believe in heaven or hell or whatever, believe in God. I don't want to like tell them they're not right, because I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should believe what they want to believe.
Yeah, believe what you want to believe. I'm not gonna tell you yes or no either way.
I mean, nobody has the actual answers, but I mean, life is subjective. Like, everyone is on their own path, and everyone has the right and the capability to believe what they want to believe.
But like, even the simulation theory is so there's so much goes into it. Like, trying to explain to somebody, I don't even know. I don't really understand. Like,
yeah, like for me, I don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell. I think there may be a concept of it. I believe like maybe our consciousness lives on, while our physical body.
Like, there's not an actual heaven or hell, but it's like there's you're just in an ether.
Yeah,
you're not in a body.
No, yeah, absolutely.
There's just like I know people say, oh, I'm more spiritual than religious, and like, is there that thing where like you're just part of, I don't know. Yeah. Like, you can take it so many different ways. Like, you just become part of life going forward.
Yeah.
You're just become one with like I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you're just one with the dead. Like, you're all together.
Like, it's all one consciousness that you become a part of. It goes back to what I just said. Is like, I think we're smart enough to realize the theory, but too dumb to comprehend it.
Yeah,
it's something we can't comprehend as physical human beings. It's beyond our body and minds.
That's like, almost better that you don't comprehend it, because you would know what.
Yeah, because like, think about it. You don't want to know.
You don't want to know the ending. And
like, as a human, you don't want to know when you're.
If you did know the ending, then what would life even mean? If you knew what would happen after you're gone and done.
Yeah, if you
knew what happened,
if everybody knew that
then
there was something beyond,
you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, they would go and do crazy shit.
And there are those odd people that do that.
Yeah, and I mean, great for them. You know that
we think they're not right.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there is a place for them that they go that is not good. I don't know. I don't want to call it heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the ones that get spit into a nothingness. You get nothing. I don't know. That's the thing. You're right. We cannot comprehend it.
Yeah. It's impossible for us to comprehend.
Whatever there is beyond this, we cannot comprehend. It's not. Like, I don't know where all of our family is right now.
Yeah.
That have died.
Yeah, like Granny just died in December. Like who knows if she's somewhere? If
Is she watching over?
Yeah, maybe she's here with us right now.
She might be, or she's
just gone.
gone.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of the line,
Yeah.
and I like I said, I can't understand or comprehend it, but
We just have those memories of those people that are
Yeah.
gone, and we live our lives until we're gone, and that's the way it is. Or maybe they live on, beyond, and they're still around, and
maybe she was reincarnated as something else, or who knows?
yeah, is there reincarnation? Which that's not in our religion. Like,
Yeah.
is there something like that? And like, what are you reincarnating as? And who knows? I don't know.
Or maybe it's something completely different.
Or the simulation, and like you're gone. Like, once your time is gone, you're out of the simulation. And
What if like, you know how people look like you have a doppelganger, right? Everyone, they say there's always
everybody says that
Yeah.
they have a doppelganger.
Yeah, so when code is rewritten, sometimes code gets it's almost the same, but there's just a little,
And then what the fuck are dreams? Like, why do we have dreams?
that's just weird stuff that happens.
Maybe we're tapping into that consciousness, that
And like, I think he gets into the book, like, dreams are almost like like you're seeing into another, like, multi-dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some people have the theory, like, dreams are you're seeing into another dimension.
Yeah.
There's a multi universe.
Yeah.
And you're seeing
And seeing
stuff for the other 10
from that other universe. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the other theory. Is like there's multiple dimensions.
And when they dream,
And we have
us.
multiple us that, like, there's multiple of us, and it could be very slight. Like the only thing different in that universe, like he did it in the book, is like the only thing different in that universe is that John F. Kennedy sneezed one time that it didn't happen in another universe.
Yeah.
And that was all that was different in that universe.
Yeah.
There's so many dimensions that it's like you cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
Like there's a really fat Tim, really really skinny.
There's a
Tim,
really, like, famous Tim.
famous Tim.
Yep.
There's a freaking like dirty ass like bum Tim. There's a smart geeky Tim. There's a Tim that's very rich and an asshole.
I mean, it's there's
thousands that are dead.
It's infinite.
Yeah.
There's infinite amounts of you.
Yep. And there's and you know that how we say, oh shit, I don't know how I'm alive through that. Well, in another
Yeah,
Yeah.
you died.
Universe, you die.
You died
Yeah.
at that point.
or
Because
like-
why does some people die at a certain age and other
Yeah.
people don't? Why do you die as a baby and some people die at 105?
Yeah, I think I do think there's some. It makes more sense to me thinking like that than it does thinking a different.
The multi-dimensional
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah. I think that kind of makes more sense to me than anything. I don't know why, but again, we can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
But
And I just think when we go, we do. Yeah, our code essentially just gets rewritten in somewhere else. So we'll be, and we have no recollection. But some people, they say, you know what, I remember being there.
yeah, deja vu.
Deja vu.
Yeah.
But from fucking 50 or 60 years before that, like when you're a
That's
kid-
such a weird thing too, is deja vu.
And-
like you feel like I could have swore I've seen that before.
Yeah.
And it's almost in a dream too, like almost dream state.
like that conversation that Greg was having, and then San said something. She was flipping through pages like, I've seen that before. I was like, well, maybe it's just my mind playing a trick on me, or maybe I actually did see it in a dream some time ago.
Well, maybe deja vu is a glimpse, a waking glimpse at another universe.
Yeah, could be that too.
This would be a great anthology TV series
Yeah.
where one character is the tying thread. So like maybe like we're saying where someone fell
Doctor Who?
asleep and
Like I don't
Isn't
want
that
to.
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who is a little. I think
It's kinda like that.
Like I've never gotten into Doctor Who,
but I
Yeah.
want to say that's
but I
the
think that's kind of what it is.
because
yeah.
he's also different people,
And I like
almost quantum.
like just talking about y'all's podcast. Like I don't want to be on the podcast because I hate the way I sound. Like I don't want to be on the podcast.
I love the way you sound.
you've already
But,
been on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never listened to that podcast.
Well, you're on the podcast right now.
Or we're getting ideas from it anyway.
I'm recording this entire
Are you recording right now?
Hell yeah, I am.
Start recording.
No, this is great. This is money.
No, but I want to hear y'all talk like in a sober. I want
No, this is the money content. Like, I started recording too late because we were having a great conversation before this, but we've been going on now for 49 minutes, and everything we've been talking about is fucking amazing. And this is gonna be our episode on Monday because we don't film anything.
I can listen to it.
You don't have to listen to it. I'm gonna listen to it.
But no, like you brought up some really great points, and like, believe it or not, Tim, you have a lot of things to talk about, and I think being on a podcast is like, because I'm sure you don't want to be on.
No,
camera.
I love listening to podcasts, but I do not like listening to myself. Like,
Well, who cares about what you sound like? It's the content that you're spitting out.
Think about it in porn terms. What was the ugly ass fucking dude, Ron Jeremy? I'm sure he didn't like looking at himself fucking these hot women.
He did.
But fucking, he probably did. He probably
he's
did.
pretty full of himself. I'm pretty sure he's full of himself.
Watch the line because Julian's right there. He's asleep. No, but yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he liked.
But no, just because you don't like the way you sound, like I was like that for a long time. But once you start doing it repetitively, and you get used to it, it's just like anything else. You know, you do something for so long, you get used to it. Once you start listening to yourself, you get used to it. I still think I sound weird a lot of times, but just like me being on camera and like filming myself all the time, like it's this repetitive nature thing where, you know, we're creatures of habit. Once you start doing something for so long,
No, I've heard this from other people. Like they just hate the sound of it's just the sound of your voice. Like I cannot stand the sound of my voice. Like if I hear, like I heard back on video, and this goes back all the way to like college. We had an assignment. We had to film ourselves, like making a speech, and you had to critique yourself. Mm-hmm. And I hated it because like I just hated the sound of my voice, and like I did too many ums. Like you realize,
oh yeah,
you realize how
definitely.
how bad you are like public speaking, and they made me at work like made me do public speaking because they're like, Tim, you're a manager, you need to be able to do like the public speaking part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like freeze up, but I'm just like the ums and the
You get
just
you
the
get better.
pauses.
Yeah, you get better at it. Though.
I mean, yeah, but that's also human nature. Like that's one thing I loved about acting and like going to acting classes and everything, because you go through all of these things, and it's just like a tool, and like, or being a professional athlete. They practice, they work at it like on a daily basis, and it's just the same thing. So like what as long as you keep doing it and practicing at it, you get better and better and better and better, and before you know it, you're speaking like tonight. I haven't really heard a lot of ums and uhs and like yeah, occasionally here and there, but like whenever you're passionate about something and you're knowledgeable about something, you can just go off.
Yeah, and like I've referenced a few things like from what I've been not exactly reading, but like doing the audiobooks. And like I love the audiobook format because reading like takes time.
Yeah.
Like you gotta kind of I'm gonna take some time to like read a book, whereas like doing an audiobook I can listen to it at work. I have the ability at work most times to, because I'm sitting at a desk in front of a computer, I can listen to something.
Oh, yeah.
So I listen to a ton of podcasts, I listen to music, and now that Spotify has the ability to do audiobooks, I've started listening to audiobooks too. I have to. I've noticed that with the audiobooks, I can't do it as much at work because like you kind of have to focus on the audiobooks, like listening to actually get it.
Yeah.
Whereas like I don't know what it is with, well, especially with music. Music you can just like listen to and like do your work.
Yeah.
Podcasts, depending on what it is, like what you're listening to. I listen to a lot of sports.
It's because you're hearing it. You're not really paying attention to it.
Yeah, not paying attention. Like I get it, what they're talking about, and can still do my work. But with a book, you kind of have to actually listen to what they're saying. So it's a little bit harder, like to do your work and actually listen.
Yes, you have to engage your mind whenever you're listening to an audiobook, because like whenever you read a book, your mind is already comprehending the words but also building the images in your mind. Whereas an audiobook, you're listening to it, so you really have to listen because you're not actually reading the words are being spoken to you. You have to listen to the words and comprehend those, and then you start building those images in your mind.
And it depends on what kind of learner you are too, because some people can read it and it's easier for them to read it and build whatever you're reading, and other people, I remember like in school, like they would be talking, and instead of me looking at them, like I could be doodling or do something right here, but I am understanding and paying it exactly to what he's saying or whatever's going on. I could recall what is going on because I'm hearing this person. So yeah, it depends on what kind of learner you are too.
Like for example, the other night we just happened to put on Baby Driver. I don't know if you remember that movie, but the main character, Baby Driver, like he always had to have music in his ear because he had some type of he had a dramatic thing happen as a car accident when he was a kid.
Tinnitus or something.
Yeah, he had the tinnitus in his ear, so the music helped him with the ringing in his ears. And like when the guy would tell him the plan, he, even with listening to the music in his ear, he could pick up everything. He knew everything that was going on.
He could read lips though too.
Yeah, he could read lips, and but he could recite the plan without even kind of hearing it, almost, because the read lips part of it, he picked that up. But I think the music almost helped him to like focus on what that person was saying.
Yeah, it's like with I guess like with a hyper person, sometimes if they're doing sometimes a lot of things at once, that might actually calm them down to where they can. You may think they're not paying attention, but they clearly are.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Yeah, but on hearing your own voice, though, it was weird for me when I was doing call center work, and
You had to go back and
because your supervisor would come back and say, "Hey, let's talk about your calls." I listen because for call quality, making sure you did everything right, whatever, and then you have to listen to your own self because if you're at that time it was sales, the first one, and then like, well, are you sounding like it's a good thing, or are you being enthusiastic, or are you sounded like you're knowledgeable about what you're talking about. Then it moved into customer service, and it moved into some other stuff, and then taking escalated calls. And you do have to sound a certain way, but even then, I didn't really enjoy listening to my voice. Other people, they're like, yeah, you sound great, whatever. But me, because I guess I was self-conscious of the way I sounded, it didn't sound right. But after a while, you start getting those ums and repeating certain things over and over and over. You stop doing that after a while.
Yeah.
Without even thinking about it. But even if you do the ums or repeat yourself or whatever, it's still good because it's raw. It's raw.
Yeah, it's human nature. Like we're a reactive species. Like we listen and react, and it's like you're not always gonna have the answers right away, and like that's what good acting is. Good acting is reacting. Like yeah, there's a script with the words already written out for you, but if you're just reciting those lines, we know as viewers it's shitty.
You want somebody
That lives in the scene.
they know the material, but
it's genuine.
They live in the moment,
Yeah.
and they're able to react to the other actors saying what they're saying and feeling what they're saying, and then reacting to that in a real emotional response.
Yeah, I told Brandon whenever we started this thing, like I almost I don't want to sometimes know that camera is there. Like if we're talking, I want it to just be us talking, and then there's moments. Where
And that's why I like to record stuff when people are not aware. Because like before I said we were recording this, you were totally free and you've kind of closed up a little bit.
a little bit, yeah, because you think about it.
Yeah.
You think about what you want to.
But the more you do it, the more you practice at it, the less it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
The less you're focusing, oh my God, that's recording.
And another thing, like just we've been having a few drinks in us, and I know that's part of your podcast. Like,
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
no, and I y'all talked about that, and I like that y'all talked about like that.
Switch to water.
It's not just about like your formal past title was called
Buzz Banter.
Buzz Banter, which kind of implied that there was drinking with it.
Yeah.
And you didn't want it to be like that, you're just speaking because you're drunk.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
Like I understood that because you didn't want to make it like, oh, we're just drinking. Because I've heard I used to listen to this podcast where it wasn't like it didn't make them like speak on it. They just like trading like oh, we brought this beer.
Yeah.
They actually like
kind of a review of the beer.
Yeah, a little bit. It was like a beer music review.
Yeah.
And they would like share beers and share music together. And it wasn't like getting drunk. They would eventually get drunk together because they were drinking.
Yeah.
But they were just kind of sharing beers with each other, and they were sharing songs with each other. And that was cool because like you just kind of listen to them like, hey, you should try this beer, but you should try this song as well.
Yeah.
And that was just part of their podcast. And like I know you don't want beer, like it's just a way like you're just like having, it's just like a way to get not even a way to get comfortable with. It's just like something to do with each other.
Yeah. And the way I felt about it is like, one, people were saying, "Oh, is it just about drinking?" And I was like, "No, it's more about the conversation that I wanted to have, or any conversation that anybody wants to have."
And I know I loosen up as I get drinking, like
and most people
probably
do.
would not be as talkative like if I did not have any alcohol. But like I like sharing ideas with y'all, like what I've been listening to or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. And I want people. That's kind of like my hidden goals. I want people to kind of because I went through the acting world and like I practiced at this stuff for a long time and I've gotten better at it. And uh, I don't know if you can tell a change, but like I feel like I'm a different person from before I moved to LA than who I am now. Like I'm more talkative now. I'm more open now.
Oh yeah.
I was pretty close. Like back in the day, there was Brandon doesn't talk. Like
I mean, it was tough because I was not a talker myself.
True.
So
Yeah.
it was like Brandon and Tim were not having conversations back then.
Yeah, like we were
And
kind
like
of
I'm not saying like we're having conversations every day because I'm not having conversations. Like even Joe, like I've known Joe for 25 years now.
Yeah.
And that's crazy that I've known Joe for 25 years.
That's fucking crazy. That is crazy. Yeah.
And it's not like we have conversations. We don't, like, just to be honest, we don't have conversations every day. But when we do, we have really good conversations.
like that's the thing that I always harped back on is like we all as cousins, like we all grew up together and we were who we were back then, but now I've noticed every time we all get together,
it's weird. We were close.
We were close,
grew up
but
together,
but we were all still in
but
our own
we're
separate
not.
worlds.
And I will say this about me and Greg. That's a funny thing how we became so close. We were not close when we were younger at all because there was an age difference.
Oh
between
yes,
us.
yeah.
And I did not care for Greg and Josh and Eric when I was younger, especially in high school. I could care less about them. Like I was so ready to get out of the house and get out of there, and like it was hard because your mom lived with us with you and Cassandra, and like there's so many people in the house. Like I was so ready to get out of the house, and so it was weird. Like for anybody that doesn't know our story, like I went off to college and like did my own thing, and I thought I was gonna be such a different person in college, and it didn't really. That didn't really. I was the same person.
Yeah.
Like you think you're gonna be this different type of person in college, and like it's tough. Like I was still that shy, non-talkative person in college. Like it was hard to make friends in college. And I didn't like become close with Greg until he was like 21.
Yeah.
And we could go out together.
Yeah.
So at that time I was probably like 26. So he was 21, I was 26, 27. And we started going out together because we could go out to bars together and just like the same social. I was very closed off, and he is a much different type of person because he's more open. Like he doesn't say that, but
Yeah. He is.
He is.
Yeah.
He had a lot more of a friend group, and like he brought me into his friend group, and like it was kind of weird because I was more friends with his friends, and those people that I went to high school and college with, like I lost touch with them.
Yeah.
I became friends with his friends, and we started hanging out with each other, and me and him, and Josh and Eric would have been the same, but they had kids young.
Yeah.
They had families young, and Joe and Cassandra are kind of the same way. They were together. I hung out with them a ton in college, but they started having kids, and it was harder for them to go out. So,
Yeah, kids ruin everything.
they kind of do.
They do change things.
Not that they ruin everything, but
No,
this brings a different perspective into it.
Definitely. Yeah, and like one thing I've learned is like everyone's on their own path. Like especially like living in LA, trying to
Yeah,
get
because
active.
it's not like I don't want to have kids. Like I've never wanted kids, but I never found that.
I'm the same. Like I've almost like I've kind of come to an understanding, or I've come to terms with with the possibility of me being alone for the rest of my life, because like the way things are going now, I don't
Yeah.
see it ever happening for me. But
Yeah,
I'm not going to say never.
You to like you're not saying that it's never gonna happen, but you do come to the realization, and like as you get older, you get to a point like, do I actually want to bring kids?
Oh
into
yeah.
this world?
Oh, believe me, like with my upbringing and everything, like I, I'm so afraid. Like I know I'm nothing like my dad or like my parents altogether. I'm still scared of bringing somebody in the world and having them have to deal with anything that I had to deal with.
Yeah, because you already know yourself, and you know how fucked up you already are.
Yeah.
Do I wanna like this kid is gonna have my traits already, and then I'm gonna be the one like shepherding them?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be able to do that? Like that's a big thing. Like, and when you're younger, if it happens, it just kind of happens.
Yeah,
Like, you
it-
just like with not like Joe and Cassandra were young.
No, we were young.
They they were fairly, but not like
I mean,
not Josh
Yeah.
or
my
Panda.
my mom.
Not if we want to keep it Panda.
I would still say though, I would have been okay waiting at least maybe a couple of more years.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
You weren't like totally like just in the week. Y'all were past college age.
Yeah.
You were like, how old were you? 23,
I was
24?
24.
Yeah.
Yeah, 24, and then yeah, 24. So 23 when she got pregnant, 24 when I was born.
So it's like, it's not abnormal. That was that for Emerald Lubbock. That was
Yeah.
normal, like past normal.
Yeah, I just wish that I would have had a solid foundation prior to all that, like had all my ducks in a row, so to speak.
But like even as you get older, like I want to provide them so much. Like,
Yeah.
am I at that spot? And I probably will never get to that spot where I think I'm comfortable, where I can provide them everything that they need. I have enough money,
Yeah.
but like at the age you were, you make it work.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, like we make it work. And that's, if you have a kid, that's what you do.
You find a way.
You find a way. Yeah, that's it. You find a way.
Yeah.
And I think this is life. Like
It is, yeah. It's
that-
funny. I had this conversation with my therapist.
I think this is life in itself. You find a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this conversation with my therapist one night, and she's like out of nowhere, she's like, don't take offense to this, but you're a scrappy person. It's like you from what you've told me, you've been through,
You moved to LA when you had nothing. Like you're just like, I'm gonna move to LA. And then we were like, all right. He'll probably be back in like a year.
13
And
years later.
He stayed a long time in fucking LA. And like
Yeah.
like you said, you like slept in a car and
Yeah.
like you made it yourself. Like you made a life for yourself. And
Yeah, and like I pride myself on that, and I wish some people would realize that. Unfortunately, they don't, or at least I don't think they do.
Not yet.
But
no, that takes a lot to, like, you did not ask for anything. You weren't like getting help. Like you made a life out there and were on your own. Nobody helped you. Like nobody was like sending you anything. And you made a life for yourself. Like that's not easy. that is like the Hollywood dream, like to go out there and like it doesn't happen, and like it didn't happen like you wanted it to.
Yeah, yeah.
You went out there to be an actor, and
I mean, I got really close a lot of times,
Yeah.
but you know, and I mean, there's there's so many people in LA, but like even the person I moved out there with from Amarillo, they moved back within.
and it's not
3
easy
or
because
4 months.
there's so much like you can see it. It helps so much out there to come from a family that of actors that come from money.
Yeah, nepotism is huge. Like
Nepotism is a big thing.
I got told I lost a role because a producer owed another producer friend a favor.
They owe favors,
Yeah.
and like they favor other people that it is really hard. You have to be just the best of the best, or
Not even the best of the best.
no, not even the best of the best, but almost like
You have to know somebody high up.
or have a certain look, or just be. It's almost like dumb luck sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to be lucky.
Yeah, I mean, there were times where I was working in restaurants and a producer would come in and I'm like, hey, like there was one time I was working at this restaurant and the producer of 13 Reasons Why came in and I was serving their table and it was the main producer, some writers, like it was their team. They had this party on the patio and I was serving them. And every time I would bring something to the table, this guy was just staring at me. I was like, he either wants to fuck me or he wants to give me a job. And then finally he was like,
Hollywood, you don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's probably both. He was like, if you fuck me, I'll give you a job. But eventually he was like, are you an actor? I was like, yes, I am. He was like, you could be the brother of one of our main characters.
That would have been a fucking big break if you were in 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah. And I was like, I will give you your email. I'll send you my headshot and everything. And nothing ever came of it, unfortunately. But I had a lot of close calls like that. Like I was almost a Red Power Ranger. I was almost on Friday Night Lights. I was almost in Party X. Like there were a lot of things that I got to the brink of being there. And it just didn't happen.
The good thing though is, looking at all that, you went out there at the right time. You didn't have anything here that you were like, crap, I can't leave. Even if it was a dog, you didn't have a dog, you didn't have a kid, you didn't have
you didn't have somebody. You didn't knock somebody up.
There was nothing here that you couldn't go over there with. You know what I mean? That would have hindered your performances over there or anything like that. So that was good. You went out there young, which was good. And those moments where you're like, hey, I got this close. There's tons of people out there that had that dream that didn't even go over there because they were too scared. There's people that went over there that didn't even get that close. So, I mean, at least...
Or their parents made them go there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to touch that and smell it and get very, very close to it. So, I mean, I wish...
Yeah, like I as much as I look back and I'm disappointed of how it could have turned out and it didn't, I'm really proud of what I did and what I accomplished.
Yeah. It's definitely something on my life resume to be proud of for sure. I mean, because like there's tons of things that, like I said, people wish they would have done, but they were too scared to do. They didn't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
You at least took your shot. You can't. What's that saying about betting? Like you can't wet what you don't bet, and you put it on the line, so that's good. At least you can't. That what if you can never, like you answered that what if. Now the what ifs over there, there's tons of what ifs. Like, what if that guy didn't know that guy a favor? But at least you can cross that other what if. Like, well, man, what if I would have gone to LA? Like, you don't have to ponder that later in life. You at least fucking did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm proud of what I did and what I accomplished. Wasn't exactly what I set out for, but yeah, I built a life and I made lifelong friends and I'll never forget it.
Yeah. And Son reminds me, there was There was this one thing in Lubbock that we went to. It was I think it was some modeling convention, and I want to say we'd all been dating for maybe a year, maybe. But we went to it, and then I got called back, and they're like, "All right, we want you to go to Dallas and go do this thing." And I guess there was a big convention in Dallas. I fucking paid for it. Everything was ready to go. I didn't go. You know why? You know why I didn't go? Because I was scared of going and being on my own.
I think Greg had the modeling thing like
Yeah,
he was working for Budweiser and like
I hooked him up with
he did the videos for there's some video that he did where he was like kind of a modeling thing. Yeah, I think because he was working for Budweiser, kind of got into a modeling thing, and he did a video. And if he was around, he would tell the story. But
yeah, but Song reminds me. She goes, "You should have went. You at least would have at least known what either wouldn't have happened. You would have gotten your ass kicked with the verbal abuse that they would have given you, or who knows what would have happened." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, but I don't know because." And that's a what if that I wish I would have at least crossed off.
Yeah.
It probably would not have amounted to anything, but at least I would have gone and be like, wow, this is cool. And then just came back the next day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I would have gone. I think it would have been fun. Because my parents were going to go, and I think I was only like 20 or 19. So yeah, I was a little freaked out. And I think I asked Son to go, and she couldn't go. So I'm like, fuck, well, if I go, I have to go by myself. Totally by myself. I am not going to do that. Lost money. But I did get a bunch of magazines sent to me. A whole bunch of modeling magazines.
Pee again. Do you want to buy a magazine subscription?
Yep. Simulation.
Like tonight's been like the epitome of a podcast episode. Like we've talked about anything and everything. Literally what we set out for this podcast to be. So we hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. And we look forward to the next one.
Yep. Until the next time.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.